As a MGTOW man who has no woman in his life and has no intention of having a woman in his life for the foreseeable future, I frequently find myself being observed by women when I'm alone in public. Most of the time, it is just what I consider to be normie women who are the sheeple who blindly embrace the ideology of feminism. As well, I've long since understood why the sheeples of the feminist plantation state observe me, because in their minds, I am violating one of the main dictates of the FPS, that being a man cannot conduct any type of activity alone in public, and that he must be at all times be in the presence of a woman. As such, my dining alone in a cafe in public, as I did the other day, is a serious crime in the eyes of the FPS. However, lately, I have noticed an uptick in the numbers of FPS observers who appear to have rank in said state and who are obviously not normie sheeple types. These women are easily identifiable both by their appearance, hair color, nose rings, attire, etc., and their attitude.
I am woman. I am all powerful.
It just so happened, because of circumstance, I wound up being the only man who was dining alone in the cafe when two FPS observers entered the establishment for the purpose of observing men like me who were in clear violation of FPS mandates. The first FPS observer entered the cafe about 10 minutes after me. And typical to pattern, she walked around the cafe, spotted me, and then selected a spot a few tables away from me where she could observe me. About another 10 minutes later, the second FPS observer, along with her simp slave, also entered the cafe. And typical to pattern, the second FPS observer, with her simp slave, walked around the cafe, spotted me, and then selected a table directly in front of me and positioned so she and the simp slave were facing me. The first FPS observer proceeded to stare at me with intense anger, and as well, I could sense the volcano of feminist anger building up inside of her, which was on the verge of eruption. And because of this, she had trouble enjoying her meal because she was consumed by her anger and rage at my offense. The second FPS observer proceeded to demonstrate to me the role I should be playing by forcing her simp slave to bow down to her every beck and call. Because every so often he had to go fetch something for his master, thereby leaving her to observe me by herself. Meanwhile, the first FPS observer became so enraged at my offense that she suddenly got up from her table, throughout the meal that she had hardly eaten, and stomped out of the cafe. The second FPS observer continued with her failed attempts to train me, thereby causing her simp slave to be unable to enjoy his meal in peace. But nevertheless, in spite of the observations, in spite of the anger, in spite of the rage, in spite of the attempts to train me, I had a meal in peace without the presence of a woman. This is because I am a free man, and as such, I determine whether or not a woman will be in my life, not the FPS. I have the say-so as to how I will live my life, not the FPS. And as such, I choose to live my life as a free MGTOW man.